if someone's listening and they only listen to like the first 10 minutes, I really want them to hear this part, and that's this idea of the accessibility of science to the masses. And the idea that, and to kind of set a table, like I remember being in high school and being very, very into science, very into astronomy and things that were bigger than myself, and just always having a sense of wonder about it. And I was never like a 95 student, I was always like an 85 student, average, but very curious about these things. But then you'd have these teachers and sort of people in your life that come up to you and go, well, if you're not going to be the 95 student, maybe science isn't for you. And to me, and I'm sure to a lot of students and younger people out there, I get what they were trying to say. And I was not even headed towards a career in science at that point. To a lot of people, I could understand how it feels like, and it felt to me specifically like they were saying science is bigger than you, that you cannot grasp science, that, even though these brilliant scientists and, physicists like yourself, like, Michio Kaku or Neil deGrasse Tyson are putting out these books that are making the material very palatable for a mass audience, that somehow that is still beyond you.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame. I mean, I do think that there's a tricky line to draw because, and this goes all the way up to when people are graduate students studying physics, which is that there aren't that many jobs for real professional scientists. To get paid doing science is indeed really, really difficult. And there's a lot more people who want to do it than can do it. But I strongly believe that there's a whole big space in between loving science and caring about it and following it and understanding it versus earning a living at it. We don't talk about cooking, for example, as something that only professional chefs can do, right? It's the kind of thing that people should just be able to do. I think that it would be wonderful if we thought of understanding and talking about science as something that everyone can do, just like they all talk about movies or politics or what have you.
What irks me is in the past, I would say 5 years specifically, there's been kind of a schism going on online where a lot of people look at shows that are more, I guess, pop culture science, like Mythbusters, for example.
Right. And
they'll go, oh, you shouldn't look up to those guys because they're just doing this pop science and taking things in pop culture and applying sort of quote-unquote pseudoscience to it. And, meanwhile, there's people doing the real hard research and, looking to cure cancer. And it's like, but why can't those two worlds coexist? Why can't we have programming that is maybe more or less, I'm using this term very loosely, but soft science that gets people in the door? Like, I would much rather have a lot more people in the door watching something like Mythbusters than a show that wasn't that maybe, it's some reality show somewhere. Like, there is, like you said, a very broad middle ground that sometimes people don't care to look at a little closer.
Yeah, and I don't think it's hard to understand why this is true. It's just because people are snobs. Or, people like to feel superior to other people. Personally, I think that not only is Mythbusters great, but I think The Big Bang Theory is great. It's a silly sitcom. It's not high art by any stretch, but it brings the idea that there is such a thing as physics to a whole bunch of people who otherwise wouldn't have known. And, enrollment in physics courses has gone up since The Big Bang Theory came online. So I'm a big believer that we need a rich, multi-layered ecosystem when it comes to talking about science in the popular domain. I don't think that it should all be the most serious, hard stuff, nor should it all be the fluffiest, easy-to-access stuff. We need a little bit of everything because people are in different places and want to hear different things.